So MicroKORG 2 is a cool little synth, it's cute, it's fun, but there are a couple of things I wish were better which other reviews seemed to miss, and we're gonna discuss them in this video, as well as all the cool stuff they've added to this sequel to the OG MicroKORG, which was released in 2002 and is the best-selling synth of all time. I did get this unit as a personal gift, let's just say it was an early Christmas gift, but it wasn't sent by Korg or any retailer. So here I have the limited edition white version, there's also a black limited edition, and the regular one is a grayish sort of color. So let me first highlight the main differences to the original MicroKORG. So like the original, the MicroKORG 2 is a digital synth. It's not analog, but it's analog modeling. It has 8 voices of polyphony as opposed to the 4 voices on the original, and 8 voices is the same amount as the MicroKORG XL. And it's a bitimbral synth, which means you can layer 2 sounds or address them on separate MIDI channels from a sequencer. So with the MicroKORG 2, Korg have kept the form factor and the size the same, but there are quite a few useful updates on this compared to the original. The main one is the much improved UI and programming experience thanks to the big and colorful display, and these 5 knobs are also color-coded, making it easy to figure out what parameter you're controlling, and you access the different components of the synth using these 8 buttons, and you also have quick access to the vocal processor and the effects section. Korg have also added a loop recorder for recording stuff on the actual synth, which I honestly don't find useful at all, but maybe cool for DAW-less jams or whatever people do with these things. Now, if there is something that hasn't changed, it's the genre knob for the presets, and it may have been cool in 2002. Nowadays, I honestly find it quite cheesy. A more helpful way to categorize the presets would have been just by sound type, like bass, lead, keys, and so on. But I understand why Korg did it. They wanted to keep the original style as much as possible while improving certain aspects, and the genre knob is a very recognizable part of the original. So for each genre, you have 3 banks with classic, modern, and future versions of the same type of sound, plus a user bank for your own creations. I saw another review of the MicroKORG 2 that claimed that the build quality wasn't that great, but I have to disagree. It is perfectly adequate. It is very solid even though it's made out of plastic. The knobs are super solid, so I have no complaints. It is a really well built synth. So the effects section is vastly improved, adding much needed reverb, but also in the mod section you don't only have modulation effects like chorus and flanger, but you also have stuff like lo-fi, which is a vinyl type of effect. You have compression, distortion, and the distortion has many types of distortion, and also you have an amp simulator, so it's super comprehensive. And even the delay features stuff like pitch shifting delay, reverse delay. Super comprehensive, super cool. I really like the effects section on the MicroKORG 2. And there are some new additions on the back, a USB-C port for connecting to a computer to use it as a MIDI controller, although there is no software editor like they had on the original MicroKORG and the MicroKORG XL. Maybe because this one is much easier to program from the front panel, but the software editor would have made programming even faster and easier. And seeing the USB-C port, you might think that it would work as an audio interface for your computer, but unfortunately it doesn't. And it also can't be powered from the USB-C, you will need the power adapter. Honestly, in 2024 and 2025, I find this rather disappointing, as competing products from Roland all work as audio interfaces and can be USB bus powered. So it seems that Korg haven't made the MicroKORG 2 with DAW producers in mind, and it's more for the DAWless crowd and live musicians. Also, this is the first MicroKORG to feature a sustain pedal input, something which they didn't have on the MicroKORG XL, even though the XL has some actual piano sounds. Now, speaking about the XL, I have to say I'm slightly disappointed by the keyboard on this new MicroKORG 2. They just put the same keyboard they had on the XL, which is called the Natural Touch keypad. And they have this on their MicroKey MIDI keyboards as well. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad keyboard, it feels good, and the velocity response is actually quite good for MIDI keys. And it's way better than the awful keyboard they had on the MicroKORG original. However, MIDI keys these days are usually slightly bigger than these. So this keyboard feels really cramped compared to, let's say, Arturius mini keys, which are still quite compact but slightly wider and taller, which makes playing much easier and much more enjoyable, even if their velocity response isn't as good. So the good velocity response is kind of useless anyway, because you're probably not gonna play complicated and nuanced piano parts with this keyboard. And besides, a lot of the built-in presets, like a large number of them, are actually not velocity sensitive at all. So let's take a look at the Synth Engine. We have 3 oscillators and a noise generator. We only had 2 oscillators on the original. And also, unlike the original, we can have any kind of waveform on any oscillator. And so besides the regular analog style waveforms, we have the DWGS waveforms. We also had them on the original. And the new thing here are the one-shot waveforms. They can be used to add some percussive attack to your presets. Or some nice textures, but you cannot import your own samples. But honestly, I wish Korg had put some high-quality acoustic instruments as waveforms, stuff like pianos, brass, woodwinds, and so on. They have these on the MicroKORG XL, and that was released like 15 years ago, and adding these to the MicroKORG 2 would have made it so much better, in my opinion. But there is just a normal analog modeling synth engine. You have the usual filter types and you can morph between the filters. You have 6 modulation slots, 2 LFOs, an arpeggiator. Basically, you have all the options that you would expect from a synth like this. So it's a very capable synth engine, sounds really good, but honestly, it's not a massive improvement on the original in terms of sound quality and character. Actually, I would say it's not an improvement at all, except that it adds a lot of new possibilities. And also comparing it to the MicroKORG plugin that I use often on the computer, I find that a lot of the sound that you can make with this one sound pretty much identical. But of course, this has a broader palette of sound. It can make more sound than the original cannot make. Alright, so let's test the vocoder. So we also have this hard tune effect and the harmonizer that adds harmonies to your singing.
MicroKORG to test with the harmony.
Yeah, maybe I should stick to just playing synths. Probably the biggest gimmick I've seen on a synth is the achievements section. If you play video games on something like, Steam or Xbox or PlayStation, you know what these are. So the MicroKORG 2 gives you virtual trophies for things like saving a program, using all 3 vocal effects, receiving external MIDI, change an EQ parameter. I know they've added this gamification aspect to encourage beginners to explore the synth and they want to make it fun for beginners, but so it's a gimmick. So overall, MicroKORG 2 is a cool, fun little synth, looks good, sounds good, and create a very, very wide range of sounds. But in 2024 or 2025, I just don't think it hits the way the original did back in the day. Back then, if you needed a compact and affordable synth, you had to get one. But these days you can have all the Korg synths on your mobile device or as a plugin in your computer. So if you're a producer who works in a DAW, I have to be honest, I don't see the point of using this. You don't need it, and honestly you get a better experience and pretty much identical sound quality by using the Korg plugins, which I own all of them, by the way, and they are really, really good. And considering it costs around $600 and even slightly more for the limited edition, I have to say it is quite an expensive synth. However, if you use a DAW setup or you play live, actually it's not a bad deal. It's versatile, it gives you a great palette of useful sounds, it has that very nice musical Korg character that I personally love. Now, the original MicroKORG and the XL Plus are still available to buy brand new, and even though they are cheaper, I would definitely recommend buying the MicroKORG 2, mainly because programming from the front panel is actually viable on this one. And I will put an affiliate link to Thomann in the video description in case you're looking to get one. So overall, pretty cool synth. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new here, and I will catch you in the next one.